I think one of the hardest one of the hardest recordings that I have to do is recording anything about my father. I'm not real good at recording things about my dad. One of the reasons is because well, I'm faced with so much in my life, and my dad was like one of the greatest people I've ever met in my life. Though, when I was younger, he was my worst enemy. Like, I always thought that this motherfucker was always against me, but he wasn't, and it's so funny to think about the battles that I faced with this man. Oh, man. If I only knew what I knew then. But, writing about my dad has always, it's always been a release for me. I mean, I'm trying to tell you, he's a great man. I mean, probably wasn't a great man to, the guy next door, because all he was a plumber, a dirty plumber, and he worked himself to death. That's what he did. But he was my dad, and everything he had, he gave to us. There wasn't anything that he wouldn't give us. I look at and his pictures, and I'm reminded of my dad's hands, and they were always so, they were covered in cuts and scrapes, and they were always so dirty, my dad's hands. And I told you about the rainbow suspenders and his flip-flops, Come on now. But I mean, a service call in the middle of the night to make money, he never stopped. My dad never stopped. He just, he did when it came to things with us. He would stop, and he always took his time. And ain't nobody perfect. We didn't come with a handbook, but this is what I will tell you. I was adopted as my brother was. And let me tell you something. You're adopted. They chose to love you. They chose to take you on, and you give them hell. Man, I learned the hard way. My father chose to love me. He didn't have to. He chose to. He chose to fight by me every day. And that man fought some fucking wars. People have no idea of the wars that my parents face. I feel sorry for them. I applaud them. I still apologize every day. So, let me get on with my writing that I wrote. Sometimes when I say it, I don't think I say it properly. My brain hasn't been here for the last 2 days, people. I'm literally fading away, but, you got to keep searching for that light of divine insight. So, let's get it done, friends. Tomorrow is my dad's birthday. Yes, I know. I speak of my father a lot. I speak to him daily. It's as if he still resides by my side. See, I truly believe he is always with me. I am constantly asking him to help, to guide my hand. I want him to help me find the way on my bad days. Some days, I sit by my fire and speak to him as if he had never left. I laugh out loud when I remember his face, his shake of the head, his playful grin that he would always give, the way his hands rested on his belly when sitting down while listening to a story, or as he was just resting comfortably. The way he smelled like a copper penny. I remember the love in his eyes as he looked at my mother. He would love to just get in his truck to drive to the farthest Dairy Queen so we could spot a deer and so he could take time with us. My dad, he always took time with us. I look back now at how much he always tried to be there for us. The funny thing is you never realize any of this until they're gone. Our camping trips were always adventures full of freedom and time spent with loved ones. He would sit by the fire and just be. Sometimes I never understood why he would sit there all night, not saying anything, just watching the fire and thinking. I wish I would have taken the time to ask him, "What are you thinking about, Dad?" It seems I never took the time to see or to stop to ask my father how he was feeling. It just wasn't that way with us. See, I was that rebellious child, always going against the grain, always chasing or looking for something or someone else to run to. I was always running away. Running away to where? I truly don't know. But every time I would return home, he'd be waiting, accepting, and still loving me. I can remember those nights when he had to pick me up from a bar. I'm telling you this, people. I would refuse to come home. He would sit patiently in his truck or come in and sit next to me. The one night I think I will never forget, I was at the Willoughby and my husband had called my dad and told him, "I left your daughter there because she refused to leave." So my father came there to pick me up and take me home. He came in, he sat down, and we talked. We talked about everything. I only think, Lord knows the things that came out of my mouth. It was always like that with him. When I was 12 years old, I came home drunk for the first time. I remember my mother, she was just trying to get me in the house before my father could see me in that state. Oh, she was always trying to protect me, to hide my mistakes that I always seemed to make. But instead, my father put me in his truck and we talked and I cried and then, of course, I got sick. Then they took me to the hospital. My brother and father carrying me into another rehab. I was drunker than a skunk, shouting and yelling. I could hear my dad laughing at the things that I said. But I also know how much it hurt him to have to keep trying to save me. I gave that man so much hell, but look, he never gave up on me. Throughout every storm, every break of his heart, he stood by me. I think back to the man who raised me, and I know of no other love stronger than the love that my parents had for me. The strength that helped me become the person I am today. I think that's one of the main reasons that I decided to get clean. A year and 3 days after he died, I finally decided enough of this fucking up. I truly believe that he had a big hand in that decision. Even after he left this world, he was still my voice of reason. I try every day to make him and my mother proud. I know it probably sounds funny to say that even though I am almost 41 years of age, I still want to make them proud of me. Before my father passed, him and I became very close. He would call daily just to chat or to try to pull my leg. I miss his voice on the other end of this line. My father and I got to spend a lot of time together. It was as if I finally got another chance with my dad. Believe me, people, I am so grateful that before he left this world with no notice that he knew I would be okay. He knew that I was finally growing up, that every day I look up to the sky and I give thanks to that man. The man who loved me more than anyone could. It was his and my mother's love that saved me. Not a day goes by that I don't see the twinkle in his eyes and my mind. I am made up of so many characteristics. I never thought in a million years he wouldn't be here with me. As I said before, losing a parent is probably the hardest lesson to go through. Losing someone who loved you, raised you, and knew you is something that will always hurt. But I know, people, I know that he is with me. He's sitting on the sidelines cheering me on. I just wanted to give my thanks to the man that helped create my life. He created my life, and he still helps guide my way. I miss you, Daddy. I miss you every day.